You won't believe how this story will move you. This is the story of how a sweet, innocent bunny changed a life that was crumbling under the weight of grief, until an unlikely bond with a bunny became the cure. It's not just a story about loss or heartbreak, it's about the unexpected ways life finds us when we're lost. Sometimes healing doesn't come from the people we expect. Sometimes it arrives softly, on tiny paws, with a twitching nose and a heartbeat no bigger than your thumb. What you're about to hear isn't just heartwarming. It's proof that even the smallest creatures can heal the biggest hearts.
Grief is a strange thing. It can sneak up on you when you least expect it, turning everyday moments into painful reminders of what you've lost. A song, a scent, an empty chair at the dinner table. For Emily, grief wasn't just a feeling, it was an unbearable weight that followed her everywhere. Just a few months ago, she had everything: laughter-filled Sunday mornings with her mother, long walks in the park, and late-night phone calls filled with warmth and love. But then, without warning, her world shattered. Losing a loved one isn't just about missing them, it's about losing a part of yourself too. The person who knew all your stories, who cheered for you on your hardest days, who made the world feel safe. And when they're gone, everything feels empty. Emily stopped going out, stopped answering texts, stopped finding joy in the little things. She had always been the strong one, but this time she didn't know how to keep going. Until one day, the most unexpected little creature changed everything. Grief doesn't come with a manual, it doesn't tell you when it's going to hit or how long it's going to stay. For Emily, it became a part of her daily life. She stopped doing the things she loved. Books she once read with joy sat untouched on her shelf. Favorite TV shows no longer held meaning. Even food lost its taste. Her friends worried about her, they texted, called, even knocked on her door. But Emily always found a way to push them away. She told herself she needed space, that she was fine. But deep down, she wasn't sure she even remembered what fine felt like anymore. One day her best friend Olivia showed up at her door. "We're going out," she said firmly. Emily shook her head. "I'm not in the mood." But Olivia wasn't taking no for an answer. "Just trust me. 1 hour. That's all I ask." With a sigh, Emily agreed. But she had no idea that stepping out of the house that day would change her life forever. Emily expected to go to a coffee shop, maybe take a walk in the park. Instead, Olivia pulled up to a small animal rescue center. Confused, Emily turned to her friend. "Why are we here?" Olivia just smiled. "You'll see." Emily followed her inside, the soft sounds of rustling hay and tiny paws filling the air. She walked past kittens playing, puppies wagging their tails, and birds chirping in the corner. And then she saw her. In a small enclosure, curled up in the corner, was the tiniest bunny Emily had ever seen. Her fur was soft grey, her ears a little too big for her head. But what caught Emily's attention most was the way the bunny looked at her. Emily knelt down, hesitantly putting out her hand. And in that moment, something magical happened. The tiny bunny didn't run. She didn't hide. She hopped forward and nuzzled against Emily's fingers. A warmth spread through Emily's chest, something she hadn't felt in a long time. It was the first real moment of connection she had experienced since her mother's passing. And for the first time in months, she smiled. When Emily brought Daisy home, she wasn't sure what to expect. She had never owned a rabbit before, and a part of her wondered if she had made the right decision. Would she be able to take care of this tiny, fragile creature? Was she even capable of love when she still felt so broken? She carefully placed Daisy into her new enclosure. A soft, cozy corner lined with fresh hay, a tiny bed, and a small water dish. Daisy sniffed the air, her little nose twitching before hopping forward to explore her new home. She seemed so small, so delicate, and yet completely fearless. Emily sat down on the floor next to the enclosure and just watched her. She had expected Daisy to be nervous, to hide in the corner, but instead the little bunny hopped closer to her, pressing her tiny paws against the enclosure wall as if she was trying to get even closer. Emily hesitated, then reached out her hand, and just like in the shelter, Daisy didn't back away. She leaned into Emily's touch. A lump formed in Emily's throat. She had spent months pushing people away, drowning in her own grief, convinced that no one could truly understand. And yet, here was this tiny animal, offering unconditional trust. No questions asked, no words needed. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. For the first time in months, it wasn't because of sorrow or loneliness, it was because of something else. A feeling she barely recognized. A strange, quiet warmth in her chest. Hope. The next morning, Emily woke up to the softest sound, the tiniest rustling noise coming from Daisy's enclosure. She peeked over the blankets and saw her new little friend stretched out in the morning light, her ears flopping lazily, completely at peace. And Emily felt something unexpected. She smiled. Day by day, their bond grew. Daisy quickly became the center of Emily's world. She would follow Emily around the house, her tiny paws pattering softly against the floor. She had a habit of playfully nudging Emily's ankle whenever she wanted attention. And whenever Emily sat down to read or write, Daisy would curl up beside her, her small body radiating warmth. And then there were the binkies. Emily had never heard of the term before, but the first time she saw Daisy suddenly jump into the air and twist her little body mid-leap, she was startled. She grabbed her phone and searched, her eyes widening as she read, "Binkying is a rabbit's way of showing pure joy." Daisy was happy, and for the first time in a long time, so was Emily. What Daisy didn't know was that every hop, every nose twitch, every moment of trust was healing something inside Emily. She was no longer waking up to an empty, painful silence. She was waking up to life again, to the small, beautiful moments she had forgotten how to see. The days turned into weeks, and Emily slowly started to feel something she hadn't in a long time. Hope. It was in the little moments. The way Daisy would twitch her nose when she was curious. The soft sound of her paws on the wooden floor. The way she would hop onto Emily's lap and curl up without a care in the world. One evening, Emily sat on the couch watching Daisy nibble on a small piece of lettuce. She found herself laughing, genuinely laughing. It wasn't forced. It wasn't empty. It was real. And in that moment, she realized something. Daisy wasn't just a pet, she was a lifeline. That night, Emily opened a journal she hadn't touched in months. It had been one of her mother's traditions. Whenever life felt overwhelming, she would write it down. Emily had always loved journaling, but after her mother passed, the words stopped coming. But this time they flowed. She wrote about Daisy, about how this tiny creature had brought warmth back into her world. About how for the first time in a long time, she wasn't just surviving, she was living. The next morning, something else happened. Emily woke up before her alarm, feeling rested. The heavy weight that had sat on her chest for months felt lighter. She got out of bed, made herself a proper breakfast, and spent the morning playing with Daisy in the sunlight. She didn't realize it right away, but something had shifted. Healing isn't an overnight process, it isn't a straight line, but sometimes healing begins in the smallest moments. With the soft nuzzle of a tiny nose, with the quiet understanding of an animal who asks for nothing but love. Months have passed since the day Emily met Daisy, and while grief never truly disappears, it no longer controls her life. The sadness still comes in waves, but now she has an anchor. A reason to wake up. A reason to smile. Daisy grew from a tiny, fragile baby into a confident, playful rabbit, and Emily grew too. She started going outside again. She reconnected with friends. She even began volunteering at the same shelter where she found Daisy, helping other lost souls find their second chances. Sometimes the love we need doesn't come from where we expect it. Sometimes it comes in the form of a soft heartbeat, small paws, and a twitching nose. Daisy may have needed Emily to survive, but in the end, Emily needed Daisy just as much. Love has a way of finding us even when we least expect it, and sometimes it comes wrapped in fur and whiskers. Emily's story is just one of many. Every day, animals like Daisy are abandoned, waiting for someone to give them a second chance. And sometimes that second chance changes 2 lives instead of 1. If Daisy and Emily's story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more stories of love, hope, and healing, while promoting the rescue and care of animals in need. And if you've ever thought about adopting, fostering, or supporting an animal shelter, let this be your sign. The smallest act of kindness can change a life, maybe even your own. Together we can make the world a kinder, more compassionate place, one furry friend at a time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos.